Brothers and sisters, this is just kind of a silhouette drawing I threw together that was fitting for this chapter. Remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for more artwork like this. Take it easy, brothers and sisters. One Piece, Chapter 78, Belle-Mère. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the epic and gripping, touching, sometimes saddening tale of One Piece. The last chapter saw Nami go into a flashback, and we learned about her and Nojiko's past and their orphan mother, their adopted mother, Belle-Mère. And at the end of the chapter, it left with Arlong's pirates having come to the island, and obviously the shit's going to hit the fan. So sorry I'm not as upbeat as I usually am, but this is one of those parts where it's one part touching, one part saddening, one part gut wrenching, and it just makes for a big old shit soup, man. It's not comforting at all, to have to talk about. So, and maybe it's because I grew up in a big family. I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so I had younger brothers and sisters that felt almost like kids to me, a couple of them, and then of course I'm married and have children now myself, so maybe these type of things hit home for me a little bit more than the average person that hasn't gone through some of those life experiences. But at any rate, let's dive right into the chapter, shall we? So the flashback continues, and Arlong's pirates have pretty much rounded up everybody in the village, and they have said 100,000 berries for every adult, 50,000 berries for each kid. And what they're doing is they're extorting them. They're basically saying, you want to buy your life? It costs 100,000 berries for you as an adult, and 50,000 for your kids. So he's telling everybody, and he says, how many berries we got? And one of his guys says 25 million berries. And you're thinking, what the Jesus Christ? So they extorted the whole village, and Genzo is sitting there. Of course, he's told Nojiko and Nami to go off and hide in the woods, and Genzo is like, oh geez, and so somebody says, I think it's the doctor, and he says, I hope they don't find Belle-Mère's house. And Genzo says, because she can't afford to pay that 200,000 berries for her and for the kids. And Genzo says, oh, no, don't worry, they won't find it. it's on the outskirts of the town. And so anyway, the pirates are getting together, and it looks like they're getting ready to leave. And then one of his pirates or whatever, and I forget which one it is. I don't know if it's Karubi, I think. He goes and he says, oh, look, there's a house on the outskirts of town. I can see smoke coming from the thing, from the chimney. And you're like, son of a bitch. And everybody's like, oh, man. So, Arlong's like, okay, and so that they're all getting ready to go up there. It shows Nami and Nojiko in the woods, and they're like, oh no, they're going to find Belle-Mère, So they go taking off towards the house. Genzo and the doctor and everybody, they go taking off towards the house as well, because they know that Belle-Mère can't pay. Belle-Mère goes and it flashes to her, and she's over there, cooking up something in the pan, and she's like, oh, I got my famous tangerine sauce, and we're going to have it with duck and this and that, and I got to put the rice on, and we're just going to we got some potatoes, and she's like, and you know what, since I'm almost broke anyway, might as well splurge and go for the sake too. So she's breaking out the rice wine, she's good to go, man. She's having a big meal. So all of a sudden there's a kind of a knocking at the door. She hears someone coming, and she's just like, oh, they're back already. She's thinking that it's Nojiko and Nami, back for dinner. So and as all this is going on, we kind of see like it flashes back to Nojiko and Nami, and they're like running through the woods. No, we got to get there. We're not going to get there in time. And the doctor and Genzo, are going and trying to get there, and obviously they see that the pirates are already there. And the doctor winds up stopping Nojiko and Nami, short of the house, and basically says, no, you can't go in there, the pirates and this and that. And so that's like a little side scene, and then it goes and it flashes back to Belle-Mère, and and Arlong goes and busts open the door, right? Because she's like, who's there? And he goes and busts open the door, and it's actually a pretty cool scene at first, and then it winds up turning terrible, but it starts out pretty cool because she just fucking blindsides him and just whack, hits him with the butt end of a shotgun, right? Goes and flips his ass over and just fucking looks like a suplex or something. She just whips him down, on the ground. And she's on top of him, right, over top of him, and she's got this shotgun with the barrel jammed in his fucking mouth, right? So he's like, And she's sitting there thinking, oh man, this is nice. And she's like, yeah, I guess you didn't think that you were going to come across like an ex-pirate or whatever, you know. She's like, you know, you're a pirate from the Grand Line, huh? Well, guess what? Coco Village is a long way from there. So, you know, she's basically telling you fucked with the wrong town, dude. So you're thinking, oh, this is great, right? And then this is, you know, where the scene turns a bit saddening because we know now, obviously, you know, from the last 10 chapters or so, that the Fishmen, at least, are very, very strong, much stronger than humans. So, and especially Arlong. Arlong just kind of laughs, and she's like, "What are you laughing for?" You know? And he goes and just fucking, he just chomps the end of the gun, just bites it, you know. And he's like, you know, you stupid humans, you don't realize, you know, how much more superior we are to you, and this and that, you know. And him and he's got a big fucking head, man. I'm surprised he can even walk through a door. That head's so fucking big of his. But anyway, he so you know, he goes, you know, it does his little monologue about how they're so much greater and everything else. And then it kind of goes and it flashes back to, you know, Genzo and the villagers outside, and they're thinking, oh man, this is terrible. Belle-Mère, you know, this is going to be bad. She doesn't have the money to pay for her and the kids. Plus, you know, she's obviously the only one that's actually mean-spirited and going to fight back. And so then in the next couple of pages and scenes, we see her just basically get her arm just smashed by by Arlong. He goes and kind of flips her over and just goes and smashes her gun arm that she had, and it's all bloody and everything. He's stepping on it, you know, and she's just laid to the ground, and basically she's just beaten and bloodied. And you know, and he's pretty irritated with her, but Genzo, you know, it basically comes up at that point. The doctor's still kind of holding, or one of the other villagers is kind of holding the girls off to the side, like away from and around back, you know, where they can't see them, and they're kind of telling them that they're going to have to get going and this and that. But it goes back to it, and I don't know if I'm saying this all in the perfect exact order of how it happens, but this is the whole conveyance of how it happens. So it then goes back to him, and Genzo is basically like, hey, you know, Belle-Mère, you know, it's $100,000 for your life. Don't fight back. Sometimes there's a time where you just shouldn't fight and you should just pay up, right? Just kind of show me the money type of deal. She's like, how much money? He's like, how much money do you have? And she's like, I don't know, a little over $100,000, you know, even with my special stash savings or whatever. And he's like, okay, that's perfect. You can buy your life, right? $100,000, and he'll just, and you guys will leave her be, right, Arlong, you know? So Arlong's like, yep, that's right. And then one of his pirates comes, a Hachi actually, comes out, and he's just like, oh, boss, there's 3 plate settings in there, you know? And he's just like, 3? So Genzo is thinking real quick right here, you know, and because, you know, obviously she doesn't have enough to pay for her and the kids, right? And the whole time they're back with a couple other people, and they're like, okay, you're going to have to get in a boat, you're going to have to leave the island, you're going to have to this. And Nami and Nojiko are like, what? You know, I mean, they're like, whatever, maybe 10 and 8 years old or something. They're not old kids, 12 and 10, whatever. And it goes in, and he says, Genzo, quick thinking, like I said, he goes, yeah, he goes, there was you invited the doctor and I over for dinner, you know, and things are probably getting cold, right? So he thinks real quick on his feet to tell that story, so Arlong doesn't think that there's 3 of them. And then one of the other, you know, crewmates or whatever goes and he goes, oh, it's true, Arlong, you know, it's true, Captain. I'm looking through the manifest over here, and this woman has no record of marriage or births or anything like that. And obviously, because the kids were adopted, there's no records of any of them. So basically, they're like, okay, this old man's story checks out. She must live alone, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, okay, and she's going to give the berries and everything else. So she goes and comes out, you know, goes to get the money and goes to come out and, you know, $100,000 for her life type of deal. Well, Nami and Nojiko are, you know, they like I said, they're protesting around back. They don't want to leave, you know. And Nojiko finally is just like, okay, fine, I'll leave, because she realizes that it's the only thing that they can do to save her mother, right? Well, the mother goes and comes out, and she fucking goes, here, 100,000 berries. And she goes, that's for the life of my 2 daughters. And you're like, what? And Genzo's like, what? You know, and everybody's like, and Arlong's like, 2 daughters. And she goes, they may be adopted, but, you know, they're near and dear to my heart. And this is where it starts to get real sad, because she gives this, you know, this speech about how, and they're closer than, you know, than anyone could be. And I love them more than life itself. You know, so this is this is the money to pay for my 2 daughters, so you don't harm them, you know. And then she even says, she goes, Arlong, will you promise you won't harm them? And he says, yeah, as long as you die quietly. And you're like, you motherfucker, man, you know? So this guy's been a scumbag for a whole long period of time, but I already kind of knew that. And so anyway, we wind up getting it at some point during this whole exchange. We get some resistance. Genzo actually goes and pulls out some, you know, his guns, and he's like, pop, 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 you know? And they're easily deflected, you know, by one of his crewmates, Kirubi, or one of the other ones. You know, he deflects him with his sword. And pretty much like, even though he's trying to get everybody ready for rebellion, and everybody's grab your weapons, everybody, and he's getting this is the part where the town rose up and tried to actually fight back to save Belle-Mère, right? And you're thinking, oh, cool, it's like Braveheart, freedom, you know. But it's not actually like that, because the Arlong's pirates and the Fishmen are so much stronger and just such a dominating force. Arlong says, you know, disarm them, round everybody up, but make sure you don't kill anybody, because he's going to collect money from them all the time, and you can't collect money from a corpse, right? So as all this happens, the girls wind up kind of breaking free from who was holding them around the corner there. You know, one of the villagers, the doctor or whoever, and so, you know, and they're like, "Oh no, Belle-Mère, mom," type thing. And Nami's like, you know, thinking in her head about you know, I wish I was born into a rich family and all these other things she said, and they're both just basically like, you know, I'm so sorry that I said this, and it's a touching moment, man. It really is. There's tears flowing everywhere. I got choked up, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about it. I get emotional when it comes to things like that. It's a story that draws you in, you know, and for all the lighthearted, funny comedy parts, there's, you know, equal as many parts that really just kind of, you know, hit home, and this was one of them. So they run into the mom's arms, and she basically says, man, I'm really sorry that I wanted to buy you all these things, and I wanted to give you all these things that, you know, that you'd wanted, you know, clothes and these things, and I'm so sorry that I was not a good enough mother, you know. And anyway, so they go and, you know, and they hug her and everything like that, and you know, they're pulled away or what have you, and as this little rebellion is being quelled and everything, and the rebellion starts rising up at that point, and they're kind of, again, the pirates stamp that shit out real quick, and then in just a very touching and fitting panel that you know, I think I'm actually going to draw, even though it's just a silhouette panel. You know, you have Arlong, who just pulls out his gun and puts it to Belle-Mère's head, and says, you know, and we're going to make an example of everybody, but we're going to start with you, you know, and then she basically goes and she just says, man, she presses her, you know, forehead up against the gun, and she just says, that's fine, if I have to die, so be it, you know. She goes, Nojiko, Nami, and then she just says, I love you, you know, and there's this touching, you know, panel, and then in the next panel you just see boom, 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 you know, and the chapter ends. I can only assume that, you know, he shot her in the head. I don't know, I guess we'll find out in the next one, but I'm assuming, because now 8 years in the future, she doesn't seem to be around anywhere, and Nami was visiting a grave site, so I can only assume that, you know, that he did shoot her. So, like I said, all in all, a very touching, very somber chapter, and you know, but it gives us the insight and the background into Nami and how she is and what makes her tick. So, let me know what you think, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the like button, the thumbs up, if you think that I deserve it, and of course subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
As always, thanks for watching, brothers and sisters, and remember, join the Nerd Nation. It's the right thing to do. Trust me. Tell them Jim sent you.